Ay! Welcome back here on PIE Night Long. Grabe naman yung mga kasama ko dito. Pero unang-una, basahin muna natin ang mga messages ng mga katropa natin sa YouTube and Twitter using the official hashtag. Ano yung hashtag ulit?
Hashtag
PIE Night Long. At mga nagtatag sa aming official Twitter account, which is @IamPIEofficial.
Yes. Ay, let's go! Yung isa sa mga favorite ko talaga nagbabasa.
Let's see.
Basahin mo yan! Basahin mo yan! Favorite mo, di ba? Favorite mo, di ba?
Sige. Oo naman, JM Carcojo, nagpunta to nung mall show.
Lapitan mo.
Lalapitan ko lang medyo. Sa Tita Nikki, medyo malabo na pumata natin.
May stigmatism.
OMG! Napakanta talaga. Mapapakanta talaga ang PIE Night Long. Ang pamilyang puyat. Worldwide ng hashtag ang makabugera dahil kay Maymay Entrata. Siyempre, di magpapakabog sina Aaron Maniego, si Nikki Moreno, tsaka si Anthony Barrion sa mga pasabog ng Captain Kabugera. Totoo yan, JM. Totoo yung sinasabi mo. Hashtag PIE Night Long, make some noise tonight. Tama yan. Lahat ng sinasabi ko sa'yo, JM
Yes.
Carcucci, tama
Ang
yan.
sinabi mo?
Grabe talaga yung mga comments si JM, no?
Totoo, napakahaba.
Sana magkaroon tayo ng Best in Comment
Yes.
Award.
Ito sabi ng supportive versions ni Nikki Morena, second night ng Tita Nick sa PIEnalo tonight.
Yes.
And more po, please. Willing po kaming magpuyat every day. Thank you din po sa warm welcome, Pamilyang Puyat. Gusto mo ba
Thank you.
bisexual ka?
Bye, Shawal.
Dalawa yung show.
Dalawa yung show. Uy, okay lang sa akin.
Karen, pwede doon!
Karen! Hi!
Karen, nag-i-enjoy ako dito. Alam mo naman, kailangan ko ng pera. Kung gusto mo mag-extend sa Singapore, Mars, go lang.
I miss you, Karen.
Ito naman, miss you, Karen. Pero ito naman si Cheryl Zoleta. Apaka-sexy naman ng apaka-makapugera. Maymay Entrata na yan. Sayang na miss ko talaga.
Tsaka
I'm so...
Iba talaga yung Maymay.
Oo
At iba
nga
rin talaga pag may Karen Bordador dito sa PIE Night Long.
Yes!
Alright, ito sabi. Ay,
Si Ate Negi! Ate
Hi.
Negi! Teka, Ate Negi. Sabi kasi natin, Negi, mabango ka daw. Tapos
Ay.
yung motor mo on the way na.
Uy, hi Ate Negi. Medyo nagselos ako today with your
Okay, ano kay River?
with River, but alam mo, hindi
Okay
naman
lang.
ako masyadong hurt. Konti.
Tampo ka.
Tampo kay Ate Negi.
Hindi kay Aaron.
Ay, bakit sa akin? Ito naman.
Ate Negi, salamat sa pagpupuyat.
Yes, ito Negi. Alright. So,
Ay, hindi pa natin nabasa yung kay Liz.
Ito sabi ni Lace, ang tiwala ay parang isang papel.
Bakit, Liz?
Hindi mo na mababalik sa dating anyong matapos mong lukutin.
Uy.
Oh.
Liz, pinagdadaanan ka ba?
Alam mo, Lace, matulog ka na. Charot, bawi ka muna matulog. Manonood ka muna for
Yes, stay until
Pero,
later yan.
grabe, maraming salamat sa pag-send sa inyong messages, mga katropa. Ngayon naman, lalo pa natin makikilala si Marcus Patterson bilang isang anak.
Oo. Alamin natin ang kwento ni Marcos habang lumalaki siya kasama ang kanyang ama. Kaya naman, Marcus, eto na nga ang moment mo.
Uy, I like this song, huh? So wavy.
Hi guys, it's me, Marcus Patterson, and today we're gonna be playing Two Truths and a Lie. Hulaan nyo lang kung alin sa tatlong statements ang lie. Ready na ba kayo? Okay, statement number 1. Pangarap ko nung una na maging pilot katulad ng daddy ko. So basically, this was a dream of mine, of course, before joining showbiz. My dad was a pilot for a long time. First 28 years sa Air Force siya, and his last 20 years as a pilot was a commercial pilot. So lumaki ako being around planes and seeing all of his uniforms and everything, traveling with him a lot. So it was a big part of my life growing up. Statement number 2, my favorite memory with my dad is playing football with him with a small rubber ball. So basically, growing up from the ages of, I think, 4 until I was big na, siguro mga 10 years old, we'd have this long hallway in our house back in England. And one of the hallway's entrances was one goal, and the main door, was the other goal. So we'd stand at opposite sides of the hallway, and we'd try to score against each other. This was like our nightly ritual growing up. And it would make me sad kung wala siya sa bahay, kumbaga, like he'd be traveling or somewhere. But yeah, that was a huge part of my bonding with my dad growing up. Statement number 3, when my dad found out I was gonna be a young dad, he was disappointed because this is not what he had planned out for my life. Basically, of course, when we had the news that we were gonna have Jude, we were nervous on how to tell our parents and how to break the news. And of course, my dad being a little older, his views and his cultural traditions from back home iba. So, yeah, he was disappointed. He had a whole life planned for me outside of showbiz pa. So, ayun. Alright, so ang lie is statement number 3. Of course, my dad wasn't disappointed. He's my best friend, and he was actually pretty ecstatic. And I remember him saying briefly, with a smile on his face, "Whatever you do now, it's forever now." My dad's a very funny man. He's an odd man. Hindi siya yung parang normal na... kasi marami siyang experience in wars, so parang tahimik lang siya until you get a couple beers in him, then he has so many stories about his life. Our relationship growing up was the best. He's always supported me no matter what. Malamang growing up, as a kid, you make mistakes. He'd tell me off, but in a nice, sweet way pa rin naman. And until this day, he's still my best friend. My dad did not give me any fatherly advice. I wouldn't say, he'd give me life advice. Because when I was a kid, when I was a baby, he wasn't really there, to do the whole heavy lifting of, taking care of a baby. He'd be flying all around the world. So when it comes to changing diapers and all the usual young dad stuff, he had no idea about. I don't think he's ever changed a diaper in his life. So I usually just look forward to his life advice because they hit deep. My favorite piece of advice that my dad gave me was probably don't take anything bad from anyone. Or don't take from anyone, basically. As long as you're true to yourself and you're not stepping on anybody else's toes, live your life to the fullest. If it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. If I wasn't in showbiz, hindi ko alam kung piloto yung pursuin ko. Pero for sure military, basta military yun naman talaga yung dream ko ng bata ko. Either Air Force or Marines. Something along to serve my country. I don't know. I was so patriotic nung bata ako. Please reply to my text. I just saw my dad a couple weeks ago. Kakabalik lang niya ng UK. So, wala lang. Hi Dad, sana nag-iingat ka lagi at sana marunong ka na mag-Tagalog kasi nagtatagalog na ako ngayon. Wala lang, miss na kita. Maraming salamat sa panonood ng Moment ko and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Miss ko yung dad ko.
Talking about Daddy Patterson. Speaking of, I want to know, ano ba yung mga best na childhood memory na nakuha with your parents? Ikaw muna, Anthony.
With my parents, let's say specifically my
daddy.
dad. With my daddy.
With your daddy?
Oh yeah, with my daddy. Yung best
With
childhood
your
memory.
tatay? Oo, yun na.
Siguro kasi my dad works 6 to 7 days a week. So, lagi akong sumasama with him to
Ano
work.
trabaho niya?
He works, so I have a business in Australia that I took over when I was 21. He works for that company.
Oh.
Yeah, and he's worked for that company for 40 years. Yeah, so
So you
parang,
took over that company?
well, not really, basically from young, I was already seeing what the company was like
Yeah.
until finally I started my own.
Uy, ang galing.
So how much is
Kaya
your
pala,
net worth?
ang gaan ng loob ko kay Anthony.
Ikaw nga Merry Christmas,
Tropahin kita, Bill.
You guys like me now?
Oo.
Anong masayang memory mo with your papa?
Yun nga, yun po, I always would go with him to work,
Sasamahan siya.
kakain kami ng together. I would, because sometimes we would bring stuff out for people. Kasi it's a retail store. So I would sasama ako, tapos sasabihin, ay, sino to? And then my dad's like, oh, that's my son. And he always said it so proudly, this is my son.
This
And,
is my son.
Nakakatuwa.
Yeah.
Pinalaki ka ng maayos ang daddy mo.
No, pinalaki ka ng mabuti.
Thank you, thank you.
Oo. Pero I want to know, ikaw ba, Nikki, ano yung favorite childhood memory with your dad?
Yung papa ko kasi wala na eh. Wala na akong papa. Cliname niya na yung ticket niya sa heaven. Akala niya kasi paunahan to. Nauna.
Akala niya karera?
Akala niya karero. Ay, hindi. Pero mahal na mahal ko yung tatay. Yung papa ko kasi sundalo yun. So, yung memory ko siguro sa kanya, when it comes sa ito na lang, yung greatest lesson na palagi niyang sinasabi, you'll figure it out. Kahit anong pinagdadaanan ko, you'll figure it out. At saka yung isa na pinaka-lesson niya, kung meron kang hindi magandang sasabihin, wag mo na lang sabihin.
Oh, I like that.
Oo. Turns out, lahat ng sinasabi ko masasama.
Oo.
Charot lang.
Kaya-
Ay, ano yun, kahit ganun yung tatay ko, tinitirintas ako nung pag naglalaro ako sa arawan, titirintasin niya buhok ko kasi dati may kuto ako nung bata ako.
talaga?
Tirintas pag braid, ganun ba?
That's braid, oo, in
Braid,
English.
yeah, yeah.
Oo, grabe.
Tirintas.
Ikaw naman, Aaron, what's the best life advice naman? na binigyan ng tatay mo?
For life advice naman, dati kasi parang talaga, before he came out, parang there was a form of barrier sa akin ng tatay ko na ako mismo gumawa. Kasi dati medyo takot ako pa dati na, kasi yung tatay ko kasi, kung sa'yo, militar, sa tatay ko seaman. Kaya, syempre sobrang muskulado, maraming tattoo. Kaya, syempre natakot ako to come out before. Pero after I came out, siya yung naging #1 fan ko. As in, until now, sobrang siya yung pinaka-supportive sa akin. And yung pinaka-maaalala kong advice sa kanya from him when I first came out, noong mga college na, parang nagka-heart-to-heart kami when I started college sa isang restaurant sa Malate. So, parang lahat na nilatag niya sa akin, parang huwag kang magpapera sa lalaki, baka gamitin ka ng lalaki. Kailangan huwag kang perahan, kailangan ikaw yung mampera. Tapos anong ginawa ko? Nagpapera ako.
Yung bait ng daddy mo.
Uy, yeah,
Supportive ng daddy mo.
That's really nice.
Right now, ginagawa niya as parang, kasi I'm gonna move back to Cainta, di ba? So, yun naging contractor ika nga ng mga renovation sa kwarto ko siya. So, siya parati naglalatag, nag-update sa akin. Nasa store kami ngayon, bibili kami ng sink mo.
Siya ba nakita namin sa
Sa
IG story mo?
Yes.
Wow. Nanonood ba siya?
Oo.
Hi, Tito.
Hi, Tito. Hello po,
Gabi-gabi
Tito.
nanonood yung mga magulang talent.
Oh, hi, Tita.
Hi, Tita mo,
Hello
pa'y
po.
gabi.
Yes, pero kayo ba, ano yung pinaka-number? Si Nikki sinabi nga yan yung sinabi mo is, tawag dito, if you have nothing nice to say, wag mo
Yes.
sabihin.
Sabihin.
That's right.
Pero ikaw, Anthony, ano yung advice sa'yo ng tatay mo dati?
My dad's pretty chill so his, like, cause my mom, alam mo yung may mga, with parents, kailangan may dynamics So, yung mom ko strict, yung dad ko, hindi naman. Yung dad ko chill lang talaga. When his biggest life advice to me, medyo academic student ako when I was throughout high school and primary school. My dad was just like, don't take life too seriously kasi you're going to miss out on the good things. So, even until, and that's one of the big reasons why I sort of was able to move here to the Philippines Kasi I was like I'm 22, 23. I'm running this business. I work 7 days, 60, 80 hours. I'm like, what?
Di mo na na-enjoy yung life?
Oh, parang I'm killing myself na So my dad's like, why don't you go do what you want? Yun.
Oh, yung bait.
Supportive.
Yeah.
Nakakatuwa yung mga tatay. Naiingit ako na meron pang mga tatay na buhay. Kasi, di ba, 17 ako na nang wala papa ko
Alam niyo yung nare-realize ko ng like, kuwari, napaka-close tayo sa ating mga nanay,
Yes.
pero hindi tayo masyado nakakapag-give credit sa ating mga fathers. Kaya shoutout po sa lahat ng mga tatay and father figures na nandun sa
Yes.
labas. Know that na-appreciate po namin kayo at minamahal rin namin kayo just as much.
Yes.
Love you, Tay.
We love you.
I love you
We
yung mga
love
tatay
you.
nyo.
Yes.
I love you, daddies.
Yes.
Ay, iba na pala yun.
Iba yun.
Ay, iba yun, iba
At
yun.
ito, sa ating pagbabalik more kantahan naman with another musical performer dito